Hello again, everybody. This is Wally Kern with Supreme Gecko, and welcome again to the Tuesday video. Today I'm your tour guide on one of our 4 rooms in our facility. It's the bug room. So join me in taking a look at some of our feeder bugs and how we keep them. I'm sure you'll find something interesting and hopefully helpful on the way. Thanks for joining me in the facility. Again, we have 4 different rooms in this facility. The first one is the Leo room. I keep my pictus and leopard geckos and Australian geckos in that room. Second room is the sink room. Call it the sink because that's where our main sink is. And in there we have crested geckos and our African geckos in 10-gallon tanks. We're now in the daycare room. And we call this the daycare room because it originated as my wife's daycare, and I've since overtaken the room and put lots and lots of geckos in it. And finally, we're going to head over to the bug room. This originated as my wife's daycare washroom, and as you can see, the room is insulated. We have an automatic light that comes on when we enter, and I'll just pan from right to left here quickly, and then I'll get into some of the details. We have a thermometer, and you can see that it's 80 degrees. I've been walking in and out a little bit today working on the room, and it's dropped a couple of degrees. From the top to the bottom, we have some just regular supplies. Coming down the next row, we have dubias on the bottom and mealworms and mealworm larvae and beetles on the top, and I'll talk about those in just a second. Panning around, and I'm going to turn on the overhead light for a little bit better lighting here. There we go. We have some flower beetles over to the left. And panning around, you see the insulation, the vent that keeps the room warm. There's some food for the dubias, an empty container on the top, our main dubia container on the bottom there, 2 dubia containers with grow outs. We'll take a look inside in just a second. Some of the crystal water for the dubias on the left. Finally, some supplies on the bottom. Scanning back around again, some supplies on our little cart there. Some very small roaches. The sink, and a bag of leaves for our isopods. Again, this room is kept at about 82 degrees, so what was meant to be an isopod room, dubia room, turned out to be quickly a dubia room because it was just a little bit too warm for the isopods. Let's take a look at each individual box. I have these smaller boxes marked with W, L, and B. W meaning worms, L meaning larvae, and B meaning beetles. These are crucial to our baby gecko's survival. These are all, the intent here is to raise up mealworms into small mealworms. This is our worm box, and you can see that we have some larvae. So, and I'll get into details on this on another video, but we pick out the larvae, move them over to larvae, and larvae over to the beetles. There's quite a number of worms in here, and we recycle these worms from our other containers, our other feed from the enclosures. This bucket contains the larvae, and you can see it's already starting to accumulate some beetles. So every day I'll go through and I'll pull out the beetles and feed the larvae, the beetles, and the worms. I feed the larvae because I know that there's some worms in that bucket. Finally, for the mealworms, we have the beetles. And again, I have 3 different containers here for the beetles, from oldest to newest. We'll go ahead and take a look at this bucket and see how many mealworms in here. Again, this is critical for my my baby geckos as I pull hundreds and hundreds of baby mealworms out of these buckets. I hope you can see all the babies that we have in there. So 3 different buckets, 3 different age sizes of the mealworms, the baby mealworms, helps us prepare for feeding the geckos. This is a bucket that we started about a month ago, and you can just see it's packed with beetles. The 4 tubs on the bottom are dubias from different pulls that we've made. From the far left, we have the most recent 219, and we had 420 grams. This one we're using right now, we're pulling from a little bit larger dubias for some of our medium geckos and some of our crested geckos. This was the start of our pull back in November, 46 grams, and you can see that in the beginning of January we had a pull of 248 grams, just a way to keep track of how many dubias we're pulling from these. This is what 420 grams of mealworms, baby mealworms, looks like. Let me go ahead and pull one of these out. This thing is just simply packed with baby dubias. I'll use a lot of these for the smaller geckos, but a lot of these will also, probably about half, will grow up for feeding some of our larger geckos. Here's the container from November. You can see these are some halfway decent sized dubias in here. Great for feeding crested geckos and some larger, some larger geckos. I mentioned before that we've set up 3 different breeder dubia colonies. Our original colony back from October-November of last year, 2018, is certainly going strong. You saw the big pull that we had this last month. Let me go ahead and take the top off, and hopefully we can get a good view of the dubia colony here with the lighting. And I'll get into more details when I do the dubia video sometime in the next month or so. But you can see tons and tons, you can just hear them. Tons of dubias in here. You can see the mealworm dishes. They love this mealworm diet. It's one of our primary food sources. And a few of the adults, and you can see some of the babies scattering. So we just did a big pull a couple of weeks ago, and you can already see there's plenty of babies coming up through here. Thank you for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed the tour. Again, this is our feeder bug room. It's not the bugs that we keep for pets, the isopods and millipedes. If you have any questions at all about these bugs, how we're keeping them, please leave a comment below, and I'll do a couple more additional videos and hopefully answer those questions. Thanks again for joining us. This is Wally with Supreme Gecko.